Hi knitters, welcome to episode 129 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I am your host, Devin Bentry. It is a beautiful day in late May. Gosh, how is it this cold? I don't know, but it's amazing. I love it. You can find me online at KnittyMcPurly.com. I am Knitty McPurly on Instagram. And if you want to email me, you can send that email to Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Welcome, friends. I am drinking tea this morning out of this adorable mug. Isn't this so cute? My husband and I got this in Culpeper when we were antiquing one weekend, and it was like $1. And it's made in Japan. It says Japan on the bottom, kind of in keeping with our haiku theme, going all Japanese. So actually this week, I made sushi. My son really wanted to make it. And so we went to the store and bought a bunch of stuff and we got a lot of ingredients. And my first try was a total failure because I used this like wet, sweet rice. It was awful. So we scrapped it and then we tried it again and it was amazing. Not that you care about that, but it's just, in keeping with our Japanese theme. Also, another fun thing that happened this week is that I hit 5,000 YouTube subscribers. So to that I say, arigato gozaimasu. How is that? That means thank you in Japanese. And I botched it last time, but I think I did a little better this time because Jean Ellis left me this comment. She wrote it out for me, how to say it. And she says, you have a guttural stop after the go, which I don't think I did. But she says, it's the very formal equivalent to thank you very much. Hush, Rocky, or you'll get kicked out. He doesn't know the rules, but he better hush. Hold on, I'm gonna kick him out. So anyway, Jean said, I was very blessed to have an outgoing native speaker sitting next to me on one long flight to Tokyo. He kindly taught me the most important phrase, arigato gozaimasu, coaching me on the subtle differences of pronunciation. Later, when I thanked a Japanese lady in San Francisco, I must have had the accent of my one phrase nearly perfect because she responded with a gush of Japanese like a person hungry to communicate with another speaker of their mother tongue. So she was very disappointed when she learned that that was all Jean knew. I had that same experience when I was on a German knitting podcast. Like I tried super hard and I don't think mine was perfect at all. I think I butchered it, but I think they thought I knew some German and they were disappointed when that was all I knew. Anyway, thank you to those of you who subscribe to the podcast. If you're new, please subscribe. That would be amazing. I would just love it. Yeah, okay, progress in shop news. So, the Gilded Sweater has launched. Yay, I'm so happy. I feel like it was late. I kind of feel like everything is just running late in my life these days, but it's okay. It's all fine because who cares, right? Like it's just knitting. We'll get there. It's a slow process. We're a slow community. But it is exciting when something like this happens. So the Gilded Sweater has launched. You can find it on Ravelry, but it will just redirect you to my website where you can purchase it. If you want to get it for 20% off, there is a code OPULENCE20. You can get the pattern for 20% off and the yarn for 20% off. So this is knit in Knitty McPurly Athens Alpaca Sport Weight. But of course you can use any sport weight you want. And a lot of my testers did, and they came out amazing. I went in depth about this yarn last podcast, so I won't do it again this time, but it is great. Like it's a dream. It's pure softness. There's not a single scratchy thing about it. It's just like you can just wear it with nothing under it. I mean, other than normal undergarments, but you don't have to wear like a turtleneck under it so it doesn't touch you, Like it's just super soft and super comfy. Like a merino, but this is a baby alpaca and it is just great. So anyway, that's on sale now if you want to go get that. Also, when I originally launched the Faucette Along, we were going to run it through the end of May. But then there was a DK debacle, and so I extended it through the end of June. So in case you weren't aware, the Faucette Along is going to go through the end of June, and that sale continues. You can use the code Faucette Along 2023 for 20% off the pattern for the Faucette or the Wee Faucette, and the Dubrovnik DK yarn is also on sale with that code. And those two codes you can use together. They mesh. So if you want to place one order and you want both kinds of yarn, and you can put in both codes and they will both deduct. It's like a knitting miracle. It's a Shopify miracle. Perhaps the most important part of the progress and shop news. Oh, well, before I get to that, I'll just talk about this briefly. I did get a little bit of time to work on my current Diggory tee. So it's Digory, and it's named after a character from C.S. Lewis's Narnia series. People have spelled it all different ways because it is something that lends itself to being spelled a lot of different ways. So I showed you the one I already knit in the Bosc colorway, and I'm working on a striped one in Fathom, which is the Frankfurt fingering weight, and Bougie in the Surrey silk. And so I've got the front, you can see the neckline there, and then there's the top there, and I'm just working on the back now. So I made a little bit of progress on this week, not a ton, but some, more than nothing. Okay, here we are. Most important part is the results of the Haiku challenge. Wow. You guys are poets and you didn't know it, or maybe you did, I don't know, but I never expected 58 haikus. 58 haiku. We don't add an S to make haiku plural because it's Japanese. So American, oh my gosh. So when we made sushi, my teenagers were like, oh, this is such cultural appropriation, Mom. And I was like, are we not allowed to like other cultures' food? And so then we were talking about, like, could we make Mexican sushi? And could we make dessert sushi and brisket barbecue sushi? And my children were just like, I had scandalized them. So I will not pluralize haiku by adding an S because that's terrible. Anyway, there were 58 haiku submitted. So I had a very, very difficult time choosing. It was an extremely hard choice. I chose the top 3 in 4 categories to share with you, because I originally thought, well, maybe I can share them all, but 58 is a lot. So even narrowing it down to the top 12, I still had to leave behind some really good ones. And some made it into the top 12, but then got booted out because they did not follow the syllable pattern of 3 lines of 5 syllables and then 7 syllables and then 5 syllables. I had a really good one that the second line was 8 syllables, and so I had to boot it. But there were amazing, amazing haiku submitted. Thank you so much. Arigato gozaimasu. That's as good as it's gonna get. Thank you very much for playing my game, for participating, for broadening your horizons towards the East a little bit this week. So here are the 4 categories. There was originally 3 and then I branched out to 4. They are humor. That's the first category. Second category is heartstrings. Third category is Knitty McPurly. Fourth category is general awesomeness. And then after I narrowed it down to 12, I picked a number 1 winner and then a second place winner. So my number 1 winner, I will be reaching out to you to send you a $50 gift card to the Knitty McPurly website. And my second place winner, I will be sending you a $25 gift card because there were just so many and they were so good and I just could not pick. Okay, in the category of humor, top 3. First one comes from Tara T. And she says, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, stop talking while I count. Cursing in my mind. So good. Second humor category, person is Lana Dubinsky. Gauge is off again. Why do I bother to swatch? Sure hope it blocks out. So good, Lana. And the third one in the humor category is from Andrea K. Lifeline forgotten. She starts X-rated swearing. To tink or to rip? That's both relatable. All of these are relatable and funny. So great. Thank you so much, ladies. So good. In the heartstrings category, first one comes from Alexandra Cambon. My late aunt taught me and still inspires my knitting. Legacy passed down. Beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Alexander. So good. Second choice for the heartstrings category is from Sharon Hoyt. My personal faith, a single strand when hidden, now plied with others. Good on several levels. Super good, Sharon. Love it. Okay, this is a sad one from Grace Fernandez. She says, heart aches, mom is gone. Stitches will go on longer, passing to girls' hands. Beautiful. So good. Okay, the third category is the Knitty McPurly category because many of you wrote a poem with me in it, which I thought was really sweet. Okay, Neil James, this is great. It's so Neil. So Neil. If you should ask me why I watch Knitty McP, my answer would be, and it rhymes. I kind of just noticed that. Wow, so good, Neil. Haiku does not have to rhyme, but this one does. Awesome. Rebecca Hagan in the Knitty McPurly category. I love my faucette. Colors divine like Devin. Fits so cute and cropped. Love it. And Liz Meisimer says, Knitty McPurly, watching your podcast Sundays makes my day complete. Awesome. So good. Okay, the last category and the category, spoiler alert, that has both of the winners. Sorry to disappoint those of you, I just read your poems. Those are amazing, so good. And I had to leave behind like 48 amazing poems. Okay, in the general awesomeness category, this is from Judy Allen. Creating with yarn, I see magic unveiling. The spirit sighs joy. I especially loved her use of the word sighs. I just thought that was great. Okay, from Mystery Mouse Knitting. Magic needles knit. Patterns materialize. String becomes a thing. That's really good. I love how this is Holly from Mystery Mouse. I love how she says that it's like magic and that the patterns materialize, like they just happen. And I love the loftiness of the first two lines, kind of brought down to earth in the third line where she says string becomes a thing. So good. Now, this last poem, this was submitted by Liz Meismer, but written by ChatGPT. I am dead serious. Listen to how amazing, creepily amazing, this ChatGPT 100% AI generated haiku about knitting is. Yarn dances through hands. Needles weave threads, love unfolds. Warmth crafted with care. Creepy, right? That's amazing. And it couldn't win. Like there's no way on this earth that ChatGPT could win this contest. But I am going to give Liz second place for thinking of asking ChatGPT because that was great. So congratulations, Liz. You are my second place winner. I will be getting in touch with you and sending you your gift card. And the first place winner, you can probably guess because I gushed about it a little bit, is from Holly of Mystery Mouse. Amazing poem, Holly. Magic needles knit, patterns materialize, string becomes a thing. So good. It makes sense that Holly would be great at writing poems because she's great at knitting and at dyeing yarn, and those creative things all go together. Congratulations, Holly. I will be getting in touch with you and sending you your gift card. Thank you so much to everyone. Arigato gozaimasu to everyone who participated. It was amazing. Whew. Okay, this week's topic of the week is strength in knitting. And I'm going to dance around the topic a little bit, but I'll bring it all together in the end. So, in the recent past, I have cleaned up my life a little bit. Not that it was terrible. I mean, it was fine, but I have made some conscious choices to do good things on a regular basis. Particularly, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago, I've been getting up early, which I always have gotten up early, but instead of getting up and getting to work, I have spent a half an hour praying and a half an hour exercising, and then I get to work. And it's been amazing. Like, you would think I would have less time, but I don't. I feel like I have just as much time and I get just as much done. I also added a holy hour into my week. So I go to the church and pray in front of the Blessed Sacrament for an hour every week. And that has been amazing. And I found that making these, and some people lead very regular scheduled lives naturally. I don't do that. That doesn't come naturally to me. I have to make a leap to do that. So I have found that making these good, positive choices has led me to other good choices. Like, I've been eating better and making sure I get to bed early and just making other good choices and trying to smile more during the day. I'm very happy on the podcast, but sometimes I'm grumpy during the day. Like, that's just life. But, our feelings should not dictate how we treat others. We should treat others with cheerfulness, whether we feel it or not. And making these good choices has helped me to be more cheerful. And I sometimes fall on my face, which is a good thing because that keeps me humble. Otherwise, I might get a big head and think I'm a really wonderful person. But these times when I just totally fail, that's good for me. So this happened with my son this week, where my husband told him that they were going to go do some man stuff over the weekend. They were going to go to the range and do some shooting. But my son had to bike. I think the original goal was 20 miles over the course of the week. He's got a little bike computer and he likes biking, but he gets lazy. And so, he kind of put it off. And I had a talk with him about it. And in the end, he decided that it was important that he go and get the 20 miles so that he could do the fun thing. And so he went out and he biked and he was so motivated. Like, he was like, I'm going to do this good thing. And he did the biking and he got personal records on speed. And he ended up getting to go to the range twice this weekend with my husband. And we just talked about how good choices lead to good things, and more good choices lead to more good things. And so I've been thinking about that in relation to knitting, because as I have been exercising and getting stronger, I have a lot less knitter's elbow. My hands hurt less, my arms hurt less, my shoulders hurt less. And I've talked about this before, and I did an episode on this. And I came across on Instagram one day this thing that helped you strengthen your forearms. So of course I thought, well, it would be fun to talk about this on the podcast. So I went over and I ordered the purser. Don't you think you need a purser? Why does this word not have enough vowels? I have no idea. Anyway, I got this from Amazon, and it comes with these squeezers and these stretchers. So this is how it works. You put your fingers in these things and you stretch it. And then there are, different ways that you can squeeze the circles. And there's 3 different levels. So it's easy, medium, and crazy hard. So I thought I would show you this on the podcast. So I go from this intense moral discussion to look at this cool new product I got. So I got this and I already opened it and tried it. And it's that kind of thing where kids' hairs and dog hair sticks to it. So this one is a 6.6 pounds of whatever resistance, and it is designed to strengthen your forearm, because even a lot of the weight-bearing exercises like push-ups are good for your arm, but they don't get the small muscles in the forearm. So this is the easiest one, and you're about to see how incredibly dorky I look doing it because it is almost impossible. Okay, ready? 1, and it says to do 2, it says to do a set of 3, and that's as good as I can do. And then you take a rest, and then you do another set of 3. 1, 2, 3, and I can feel it all in here, but I don't want to do too much because I don't want my hand to get sore. So ideally I would do it on the other side. And now Charlotte was in this, and now all this long hair is in here. So this is the easiest one, and it says 30 pounds, but I can crush it pretty easily, and I am not very strong. So this, how is this dirty? See, when you bring colorful objects into a house with children, I'm amazed they're even still all here, that they haven't just been scattered to the 4 winds. So this one is 40 pounds, and that one is a little bit harder to squeeze, but gosh, I feel it all in here. Now this one is 50 pounds. This is my dominant hand. Yeah, I don't want to do any more. My arm is going to be killing me. But anyway, I have been doing these for the past couple days, and I feel like my arms are getting stronger. So I will continue using these, and I will update you. But as of now, I recommend it. Look for the... I think I paid about $10 for this on Amazon. I'll put a link in it below. I'm not affiliated with them or anything. I don't get a kickback if you buy it, but I just like the idea. I like the idea of getting strong arms so that I can knit without injury, because that is very important to me. I will keep you posted on how that is going. Oh, and while I'm on it, before I move on to knitting fantasies, I am wearing a sweater that I knit. I can't remember when I started this. I feel like I started it it was a time where I wasn't very happy. It was 2019 or 2020. Those were some rough years. And this yarn is from Kim Dye's Yarn. And it's some really beautiful silk merino blend. And I just cast on a raglan and did like a puffy sleeve and then did a gather at the bottom, but there's no pattern for it. Don't ask me for a pattern because there's no pattern. Okay, knitting fantasies. All right, so sometimes I just go looking and I'm like, well, what's out there? Let me go see what's out there. So I looked on Etsy and I follow this person on Instagram. Her Etsy store and her Instagram is .pebbles knits. I'll link it below. And when I looked on Etsy, I found a bunch of her patterns, and they are adorable, adorable, sort of lifelike creatures that are wearing like striped sweaters and pants and little glasses, and they are adorable. So my first pick is the frog knitting pattern. And it's $4.20, so it's really good price. Also, it comes in German, Korean, Japanese, and English. So if you speak any of those languages, that's really nice. You make a 4-inch frog and you knit it flat, but it says it has minimal seaming. So maybe you're doing a lot of picking up and knitting as you go. Lots of how-to images are promised and yarn recommendations. And she adds links in the pattern where to get the eyes and things like that. So now if you knit the frog, you're gonna need a sweater. And the sweater pattern for the frog is only $1.29, and it is adorable. Like, how do I not have this frog wearing a sweater up here somewhere? I feel like I need it. I was thinking about my decor and how I haven't updated it recently. I don't really think about this area all that often, except once a week when I come here and sit down in it. So I really should update it. But anyway, go and look at her Etsy shop. It's Dot Pebbles Knits. She has an adorable fox who is wearing little clothes. He's got his hand in his pocket, and an adorable badger who has glasses on. Oh my gosh. And a toad. And this is part of the Wind in the Willows collection. And he's got little striped pants on. Oh man, just so adorable. Okay, so here's what happened. I feel like we got here kind of quickly today, and I don't know how that happened because I had a lot of stuff to say. But sometimes you guys leave me good stories in the comments, and I don't include them in the podcast just because I didn't think of it like until now. And Nettie062 left me this great little story, and I thought I've got to share this, even though today we're going to be talking about a piece of the newspaper from Anne Marie, but I'm also going to share this story from Nettie from the comments because it was so good. Nettie said, I once did a small favor for a family of strangers while on an 1.5 hour long flight from Toronto to Moncton. I was knitting on socks, and there was a toddler crying uncontrollably in the seat behind me. I moved my knitting, it was a sock, along my needles, and I pulled from the center of the ball. I knit a finger puppet as fast as I could and sewed a smiley face on it. The puppet was gray and the accent was black because that was the color of my sock. I passed it back with a smile. I think it's the hardest when you're flying with a child that is crying, because as a parent, you feel bad for the child, but also for the people around you. The token was as much for the parents as it was for the child. Isn't that a great little story? That's such a great little story, Nettie. I love it. So good. I'm so glad you included it in your comment. Okay, so this story sent to me by Anne Marie. This is from the New York Times from Sunday, March 12th. And I'm going to try and hold it up and hopefully just so you can see the picture. This is Delia Berry, age 83. And as we're talking, this is a picture of Colin Farrell wearing the sweater that she knit for this movie. Okay, this story is great. So Delia Berry, 83, knitted the leading men's sweaters for the Banshees of Inisherin. When I first contacted Delia Berry, she asked to be called back later. I love that. It was a Wednesday afternoon in Greystones, Ireland, where she lives, and she was playing bingo. It's just more of a social gathering for local senior citizens, which I am one of, Ms. Berry, 83, said by telephone. When not at bingo, Ms. Berry is usually knitting. 4 of her sweaters appear in the Oscar-nominated film The Banshees of Inisherin, which is set on a fictional island in 1923 toward the end of the Irish Civil War. Is this movie out? Because if it is, we need to all go watch it right now. Well, listen to the end of the story and then go watch it. These include a navy roll neck and a red pullover with a long pointy collar, both worn by Colin Farrell. That's the one I just showed you. A thick blue knit worn by Brendan Gleeson and a purplish ribbed fisherman sweater worn by Barry Keegan. Esquire UK called Banshees the next great knitwear film. Yes, I love it. Ms. Berry received a shout out in the film's credits for knitwear, and her story has since gone viral on Instagram and TikTok, where teenagers and 20-somethings have shown off their attempts to recreate her designs. I really need to come out from under the rock that I live under, apparently, because I've not heard of any of this. It's pure madness, Delia has said of the attention. Now, I wish I could do an Irish accent because that would be great here, but I can't. I've knitted so many jumpers. They are just another jumper to me. She hopes to see the film a second time soon, she said, to better appreciate the acting and Martin McDonagh's direction. When I went the first time, I was just looking for the knitwear, she said. Ms. Berry learned to knit at school in Cahir, County Tipperary at age 7. As a teenager, she made her own clothes, trying out new patterns, perfecting shapes. At 20, she moved to London with her future husband and worked in a telephone factory. More than a decade later, they returned to Tipperary, where Ms. Berry worked in a bar before moving to her husband's birthplace, County Wicklow, where the town of Greystones is. "Here's where I'll be staying now," she said. "I won't be moving again." Ms. Berry knitted throughout her marriage, she said, but her commitment grew when her husband died in 2010, and she began knitting to raise funds for Greystone's cancer support. "They were very good when he was diagnosed," she said. She donated a portion of her film earnings to the organization. "You never know when you're going to need them," she said. On an average week, Ms. Berry rises at 6 a.m. and knits until 8:30 a.m. Here's another person with a good morning routine. She always knits in the same spot, on her sofa with the light from the window behind her. At 9:30, she goes for a walk with a friend to the beach, which is about 2 miles away. She has never owned a car, she said, and has walked everywhere her whole life. She has also never used email. They'll get a coffee and watch the sea for an hour. Back home, she'll knit for another 3 to 4 hours. She'll take a short break for dinner and then knit throughout the evening. "I get up and walk around every so often," she says. Knitting is therapeutic for Ms. Berry. "When you're living on your own, it's nice to have something to do," she said. She knitted the sweaters for the Banshees of Inisherin during one of Ireland's pandemic lockdowns, spending a week on each. "It kept me sane," she said. Ms. Berry said she was sad that young people today don't learn knitting in school. She and her husband had no children, but they helped raise her nieces and nephews when her sister died unexpectedly. Her younger relatives have followed Ms. Berry's viral fame with amusement. They say, "You're not even going to know us now. We'll have to make an appointment just to talk to you." Okay, the name of the film's costume designer is hardcore Irish. I'm just going to call her the costume designer because I have no idea. Anyway, she commissioned Ms. Berry to create the sweaters. After the release of the movie, the costume designer recalled, "My daughter, who is 20, came and said, 'Delia is a TikTok sensation.'" The costume designer came across Ms. Berry's work when she was sourcing knitwear for a 2017 television adaptation of Little Women. A woman working on the production knew that Ms. Berry had helped on other films, including Dancing at Lugnasa, for which she created knitwear for Meryl Streep's character. "Ireland is very small," said the costume designer, laughing. "It's all word of mouth." So it goes on a little bit, but I'll just read you this part from the end. This is what Delia said. "This is all coming too late for me," she said. "I do think if this had happened maybe 20 years ago, it would have been nice. But just because you get older, it doesn't mean that you're not useful anymore. There's a lot we can do if we want to." I thought that was such a great story. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for sending it in. Who knew that the newspaper had so many good knitting stories? Crazy. If you have a knitting story, send it to me. If you want to send it to me in the mail, like Anne-Marie, just send me a message and I will give you my mailing address. I don't check my P.O. box that often, so the address that comes on a package for me is my P.O. box, and I just don't check it very often. But if you want to send it to me, I will send you my mailing address. Otherwise, you can email it to me, Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Even if you think it's not a story, it's a story. All right, guys, have a great week. I'll see you next time. Bye, knitters. Sourdough Sunday. Listen. So good.